Good afternoon. Good Friday afternoon. Good Orange Friday afternoon. Go Giants! Hey, they're undefeated so far this year. Well, they haven't played any games, but that doesn't matter. Greetings, friends. It's been another day, another Zoom meeting, another day, another webinar gathering. I'm not sure how I ever got ministry done before. Or maybe it's because everybody's supposed to be staying at home that we have all of these virtual gatherings. Today's Zoom gathering was with 80-some leaders of the Sierra Pacific Synod. We were talking about communion during this time of isolation. There were 3 initial presentations by pastors within our synod, sharing their thoughts around communion in these weird times. Dr. Cynthia Mo Lebeda, a professor of the seminary in Berkeley, offered what I thought was one of the great lines of the day. She said, quote, "There is no right answer." This took me back to Dr. Timothy Wengert's line of giving it your best reverent guess. Yeah, there is no right answer. Nobody's ever faced something like this before in our timelines. Pastor Tim Phelps of St. Matthew's Lutheran in Walnut Creek offered that St. Matthew's was on the forefront of ceasing community worship. Indeed, the staff there sent a letter to the congregation in early March saying that there would be no community gatherings, no worship, no small groups, no outside group meetings, etc., until the pandemic had passed. In today's comments, he offered that no communion aspect of this no gathering time or virtual worshiping was rather a default rather than a design to their process. In our small group gatherings during the Zoom time, 7 of us gathered, and one of the pastors offered another line of the day. I chuckled a little bit as she introduced herself. She said she began serving her congregation in the Bay Area on March 1st and has held 2 worship services before they ceased public gatherings. It must be a strange way to begin a congregational service. Not able to meet with members face to face until who knows when. Well, they're doing it by Zoom, but she said that doesn't mean everybody gets to gather. But here's her thought. In addition to giving herself plenty of time to settle in, the thought-provoking line was one that we all nodded in agreement with. She said, "I am no longer the pastor of a single congregation, rather pastor to about 65 small congregations, 65 households of faith." How true. I did a little quick calculation myself when we were finished. I'm no longer the pastor of Shepherd of the Hills Lutheran Church. I'm pastor to 111 smaller congregations under the parish of Shepherd of the Hills Lutheran Church. I thought back as Pastor Tim was talking about their decisions at St. Matthew's, about the decisions that I was making here about our virtual worship experience. I also felt it would be weird not to have communion. I felt it would be weird to have communion. And I also chatted with 2 other pastors who went viral the week before we did. In both of those online services, they included a time of consecrating the bread and wine, but they never shared it with anyone, not even themselves. And both said that was not the right way to do communion, to not share the elements with someone. I thought how properly Lutheran they are. They also said it felt odd, holding up the elements, saying the words of institution, and then doing nothing with the bread and wine. Both of them have admitted they've stopped that practice in their virtual worship time. But now they are also wondering how to hold a time of the sacrament in an isolation period. Bishop Elizabeth Eaton, our national bishop, in her first communication with pastors and leaders, said that we should stop worship gatherings and we should refrain from communion during this Lenten season. Back to Dr. Wenger, yeah, that made sense. The early Lenten season in the early church time was a time of abstinence from the communion as they gathered and prepared for new people in the church. And while I haven't heard her latest words, others that I trust have shared that they either heard or read that she had hoped and assumed that we would be further through the pandemic by this time and would soon be gathering for worship. Now we know that's not the case. And as I've shared before, I'm lamenting the absence of the sacrament during this time. I'm ready to break the fast, this fast of no communion. I'm looking now at ways to break the fast. How about you? Are you missing our time of communion on Sunday? Do you want to partake in the sacrament? Would you be willing to experiment with a new distribution method? I'd love to have a conversation and a discussion about this. But please, I'm not up for another Zoom meeting this week or even early next week. So here's my suggestion. Please email me your thoughts. Tomorrow morning, I'll be sending out an email. And I know that's Saturday, not time that you normally expect me to work, but I will be here in the office for a short period of time. I'm going to send out the email through the church email system. And I'm going to invite your response. The email will include the questions I've just asked, and it will include my email address. Please, if you'd like to be involved in the conversation, discussion, email back to me. Don't email it back to the church. That'll just create more messages for Jessica to delete eventually. But email me. What do you think? What are your thoughts about communion while we're distanced from one another? What are your thoughts about how we might do this distribution system? I'll look forward to reading your responses because I will be spending time tomorrow afternoon, early evening on my home computer reading your responses and your thoughts about communion. I may answer some of them. I may just wait until I get many answers and responses back before I put together a single offering, listing or including all of your thoughts. Food for thought as we contemplate God's food for God's people, called Holy Communion. I am looking forward to seeing you on Sunday. So please remember, wash your hands, stay at home if you're sick, love one another, practice that important social distancing thing that we're working on, and of course, be careful out there. Also, please remember, send me a picture of yourself. I have a few so far, so thanks for those who've done so. But send me a picture tomorrow when you answer that email so that I can print them up and stick you on your normal spots here in worship space at Shepherd of the Hills Lutheran Church. I'd really like to look out and see more people, more faces, more pictures on Sunday when we gather for Palm Sunday. Please also remember that we'll be gathering Monday, Thursday, and Good Friday at 7 p.m. for our virtual services. More information about those services will be in an email early next week. Palms are here. If you haven't grabbed one yet, please stop by before 9 o'clock Sunday morning. Doors will be locked Sunday morning, so you won't be able to come in, but we'll be here. And I'd love to be able to see you waving palms virtually. Be safe, and God bless you.